This is TJ with a review of Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is both an action film and a character study. Growing up, I read comics vicariously for a good portion of my life, and during the 80s, I read Iron Man, and in particular, I remember a storyline that ran for several months, wherein it was revealed that Iron Man, aka Tony Stark, was an alcoholic. He was a superhero with real-world issues. And now, while his alcoholism has never been directly addressed in the movies, it has been hinted at. When we are first introduced to Tony Stark, as played by Robert Downey Jr., he is drinking. And in Iron Man 2, he is not only dealing with father issues, but is also dying and drinks to excess to avoid the hard reality of this knowledge. But in Iron Man 3, he is dealing with a different issue: post-traumatic stress syndrome, emotional fallout from almost dying in an alien wormhole during the Avengers movie. And so for the next 2 hours, the film walks a tightrope between giving movie audiences a fun popcorn movie and a personal character study. For us, the viewing audience, The Avengers was the most fun that a lot of us have had in the theaters in quite a while. But for Tony Stark, like any soldier that has to fight in a war, there is emotional baggage. I was really pleased that the film chose to explore how this character deals with his quote-unquote day-after story arc. Or I should say, after the adrenaline of victory has worn off. Of all the Avengers characters, he is the best one to tell this story with, since he is the most human of all the Avengers. Or I should say the most human who is not used to being in a real war. Captain America saw plenty of it in World War II, and he's a super soldier. You also get the feeling that both Hawkeye and Black Widow have seen more battles than they care to talk about. I only wish they had gone deeper with this story arc, but like I said, the filmmaker is also trying to make a crowd-pleasing action film too. Still though, The Dark Knight managed to take us into some very dark emotional drama and still create a successful summer blockbuster. So I have to wonder why couldn't Iron Man? With that said, I will now continue to review IM3 for the movie that it is, rather than the movie that it isn't. And what IM3 is a worthy successor to not just the first two Iron Man movies, but also to the Marvel movie franchise as well. And while I do wish it had gone deeper with this part of the character's personal story arc, I was still for the most part satisfied with how that story arc was concluded. But I was more than satisfied with how it played as a superhero action film. I loved the way that it integrated itself with all of the previous Marvel movies, but most of all I was knocked out by Ben Kingsley's performance as the Mandarin. For those of you who have already seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And for those of you that haven't, all I will say is there is a reason they have kept his appearance in the trailers to a minimum. They want to save some of the sizzle for the theater. In The Avengers, Captain America jeeringly says to Tony Stark, "Big man in a big suit. Take off the suit and what are you?" And this film's other personal story arc is a variation of, does the suit make the man, or does the man make the suit? In this film, Tony Stark is caught with his pants down. He gets his butt kicked, and he has to spend a good portion of the film without access to his armor. At the beginning of this film, his PTSS has him creating endless variations on his armor, trying to be prepared for anything. So it's only appropriate that early on in the film he has to rely on his brains to really save the day and goes armorless for a good portion of the movie. But trust me, this doesn't work against the film and makes its action climax that much more enjoyable. Robert Downey Jr. has implied in interviews that he might be finished playing Iron Man, and I have to admit that at the end of the film, I got the very distinct impression that they were wrapping up his time playing the character, just in case. Adding fuel to the fire during the closing credits was the text line, "Tony Stark will return," but no mention that Iron Man would return. This leads me to speculate that perhaps Downey Jr. would play Tony Stark, but be out of any superhero action in Avengers 2. Or perhaps his character would mentor a new Iron Man for the upcoming films. I certainly hope that this is not the case. Robert Downey Jr. has been amazing in these films, but I can understand and respect that he might want to step down from the role. And if so, I hope that Marvel Studios respects and understands that audiences can handle it, that we don't need a new Iron Man, and to just get a new actor to step into the role. If I had to do a quick comparison to its predecessors, I would put IM3 above IM2, but not the original Iron Man. On a scale of 1 to 4, I will give it a 3. I will also recommend that you stay for the closing credits. So tell me, what did you think of the film? Comment and let me know. Thanks for listening.